Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Refrigeration Technology Today, hosted by Cletus Refrigeration Services. I'm your host, Cletus, and today I'd like to talk about a brand new refrigeration technology that we have perfected and patented here at Cletus Refrigeration. This is for small refrigerator devices, and we're very proud of it, and today we're going to show you an example of this technology. Now, all of you know that a review is necessary for refrigeration techniques and technology before we can fully understand this device. In the old days, a refrigerator was not called a refrigerator. It was called an icebox. I fondly remember back in the old days sitting next to my dad in the living room watching TV, and about every 15 minutes he'd slap me upside the head and say, "Get me another cold beer out of the icebox." Ah, those were the days. And you youngsters won't remember that in addition to a mailman, we also had a milkman and an iceman, because the icebox did not work on electricity. It held ice inside of the insulated box. The iceman would bring ice every day, and you would put the ice into the icebox, thereby the interior of the box remained cool, which kept your produce and meat fresh for longer. Now later, as electricity became more widely available, this technology changed and the ice was no longer required, because the new refrigerators ran strictly off of electricity. Now, a refrigerator, many of you probably don't know this, but refrigerators were invented hundreds and hundreds of years ago, as were many of the devices that we use today. Unfortunately, back in those days, many inventors became disheartened and disgruntled because they would spend years and years thinking about and inventing a technology and then building it from scratch, only to find there was no electricity to run it. So many of them ended up working at the post office or something like that. But in this case, the refrigerator, when it was built after the electricity was developed, it worked fine. But here at Cletus Refrigeration, we thought to ourselves, what if there's an electrical outage? What would you do? Your refrigerator would get warm, and all of the items and groceries that you have inside of it would become warm also, and then you'd be in real trouble. So, old technology is not necessarily bad technology. So we thought to ourselves, why not incorporate the old technology with the new? In other words, build an icebox that also runs on electricity. So, in the first case scenario, if there's an electrical outage, the device, the icebox, holds ice in order to tide you over until the electricity comes back online. In the second scenario, there's an ice shortage. So, if ice is not available, the device will run off of electricity and keep your produce and drinks cold. So I think that's about all the background we need. I think we're ready to take a look at the device. We've got the new unit here. Just came from the Chinese factory, all boxed up. We unboxed it earlier, plugged it in, and I think you'll agree that it's a very, very exciting technology and a very fine product. Okay, and here it is, folks. This is the new Cletus Refrigeration Technology IRR 2000, which stands for Ice Redundant Refrigeration. It's a good-looking unit. It's a smaller unit, as I said, and we unpackaged this earlier, and we plugged it in preparation for today's broadcast. So let's pull it out from the wall, and we'll have a look, and you'll see how easy it is to connect the IRR 2000. Here we are on the back of the unit, and you can see that there's a wire exiting the bottom of the unit, which is terminated with this device. This device has two metal prongs on the end that conveniently fit into the holes in the wall, which, as most of you are probably aware, that's where the electricity is generated. So when you plug it in, you can hear this making a very quiet humming noise. And as soon as you plug it in, the IRR 2000 begins making the redundant ice, which is the secondary technology in case, as I said, there's an electrical outage, which happens quite a lot, or an ice shortage, which also happens a lot, especially in warmer climates. So the device is on. We checked it before we began filming, and we're ready to take a look inside at the redundant ice buildup, which will take over in case of an electrical outage. And there we go. Oh, that's a fine looking ice generation. Oh yes. You can see we've got some slop in here that we're going to be conducting some tests later on to find out exactly how long the redundant ice will keep the interior of the unit cool, and we'll certainly report back on that. One thing I did fail to mention is the IRR 2000 inside here has what we call in the industry a thermostat. This thermostat is how you would adjust the interior temperature of the unit. You don't want it too warm, but you don't want it too cold either. So it's got some numbers on here, and you just reach in there. Oops. Okay, well, we're still working out the fine engineering details of this, and coordinating with the Chinese factory with the quality control issues. Yeah, don't worry about that. By the time this unit is available at your local stores, we'll have all these minor engineering details worked out for sure. So once again, having a nice look at this redundant ice backup inside the IRR 2000. I think you'll agree that with this new unit, you'll be prepared for ice shortages as well as electrical brownouts or blackouts. What a fine looking machine. Finally, we'd like to thank you for tuning in today. We here at Cletus Refrigeration Technology Services are always on the lookout and trying to improve technology for you, the consumer. We hope you agree that the IRR 2000 is a step in the right direction. The redundant ice electric refrigerator. The best of both worlds. Anyway, in case you didn't know, Cletus Enterprises is also home to the division of Cletus Intercom and Telephone Technology Services Division Company. And in our next segment, one of our customers who just had a new intercom installation performed by Cletus Intercom Telephone Technology Information Services is kind enough to share and open their offices for me to film and give you a preview and a look at their new intercom system. And we're sure you'll agree that it's a beautiful system and nothing but the best. So stay tuned for that later in the week. Bye for now.